Now it's 11:15. Back in the summer, you might remember the Kent-based children's charity Dandelion Time partnered with Roxley Manor Garden Centre and invited communities across the southeast to open up their gardens to raise vital funds. Well, the dust has settled. Summer is merely a fading memory now. To find out how it went, it's a pleasure to welcome back Kate Bourne, who is head of fundraising. Morning, Kate.
Morning. Thank you for having me back.
No, it's a pleasure. Last time we learned that this whole idea was sparked by somebody in Sidcup who opened her garden for the charity back in 2017. It's grown like Topsy since then, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And I'm really thrilled to say that Samantha opened her garden again this summer, and she turns her garden into like a miniature summer fair kind of goes on. So everybody that opens them does something slightly different. That's what blew my mind over the summer, just how different the gardens were, but the way that people fundraised.
And how many gardens fundraised for you this time?
So we had 16 gardens, and we already know most of them are committed to opening again next summer. And we've had so many people say, "Oh, can we open for you?" Which, of course, the answer is yes. We'd be delighted.
Okay. And tell us, for those that don't know, a bit about the nature-based therapy that the charity offers for children.
Okay, so Dandelion Time has been in existence for over 20 years, and we were founded by an amazing Maidstone GP who was seeing children who had experienced trauma come back and return to her surgery. And she was out in nature herself on a weekend and thought she obviously had a really busy week. And she had this kind of moment of thought that actually there's got to be a different way other than antidepressants for children that are 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and repeated kind of, and these children that can't go to school and they're anxious or they're expelled because they're not able to cope with the trauma they've experienced. And that is where the idea of Dandelion Time came from. And she gathered a group of really like-minded individuals that are still involved with the charity all these years later. We've now got 3 sites across Kent, and we help families across the whole region who, as I say, have experienced some sort of trauma or maybe some abuse, and they come to our sites for 10 weeks with a family member, however that family is formed. So it may be somebody from a children's home, or it might be a foster mum, or it might be a grandparent or an aunt or a mum or a dad. And they spend 10 weeks and they do all sorts of nature-based things. They get out there and they slow down. So if you think of social media and the generation now that have grown up with laptops, we're the absolute opposite of that. They get out there, they slow, they spend time together, and gradually their confidence builds. And the aim is, and they set their own aims at the start of the 10 weeks, but their aims are usually to be able to get back into school. And it is the first steps of hope in the change in their lives as a family. And we've seen really significant results.
Oh, that is so good to hear.
That's great.
Yeah. How did the open gardens, how does this particular element help what you do?
Well, so it's a huge fundraiser. So it raised in total over £14,000, but it's not money really. I am head of fundraising, but I don't count in money. I count in lives that are changed. How much difference can we make across the year? And all of these people that open their gardens not only help to raise those funds, but they also help to raise our profile, because what matters is that teachers and healthcare professionals and social workers know we exist, because they're the people that refer the families to us at Dandelion Time. So the gardeners, they do so much more than just raising the money on the day, but helping us reach way more people and ensuring that those families that need our help are aware of our help.
Yeah. And you're on the lookout, are you, for more people next year?
Absolutely. We absolutely are. And this week, we've hastily put up our Summer Gardens 2025 link so that anybody interested, any of your listeners, Pat, and I know, they're all gardeners. They're all proud of their garden. They all care. And it doesn't matter whether it's big, small, town, country, can open their garden. And it doesn't have to be to the public. It can be to their friends or family. It's a very loose scheme. People can interpret it as they like, but we need families. We need gardeners to do more for local families, definitely.
Yeah, and I think what you mentioned as well about the size of a garden, quite often, especially in the past, gardens that would open for charity were usually huge estates, massive gardens. And I think for people to actually relate to the garden they're visiting, it's so important to have smaller gardens as well. And I open my garden every now and then for the National Garden Scheme, and it's only 6 by 10 meters, so it's really not huge. But people walking through can actually imagine that being their garden then as well. And I would like to say as well, with the National Garden Scheme, quite often you can also dedicate a charity. Yeah. So 25% of the money goes to that particular charity. So hopefully people will put you down too.
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. And we did have some that worked with the National Gardens. So a great garden down in Benenden where the lady's an artist and she does have a magnificent garden with topiary, and her garden comes from all splittings and cuttings. She's done our entire garden from that, and she opened it up to local artists, and so they were all in there as part of National Gardens scheme, but also then the funding coming to us too, which is really, it's benefiting two charities, which is wonderful.
Of course, the work never stops for charities such as yourself. Tell us a bit before you go about your big Christmas fundraiser and the Big Give campaign.
Yeah, so we've got two exciting things going on at the moment. So everybody's working like crazy. We've got the Big Give, which runs between Tuesday, December the 3rd and Tuesday the 10th of December. And we are aiming to raise a huge £52,000. And that's, it's big, Pat. There's a couple of sleepless nights between now and then, but that's going to help us support bereaved families. So children that have suffered bereavement and are struggling to process the emotions. So we'll be working really closely with families that have experienced that, with Dandelion Time, have experienced the difference we've made, and sharing their story. During the Big Give, any donations are matched. So we just heard this week from the Big Give that we've secured our match funding. So we have £26,000 secured. So I'm halfway there, but I can only access it if we get the 26,000 donations. And our other fundraiser is our Candlelit Christmas, which is in its second year and will take place at Tunbridge School on the 18th of December.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Give us your website, if you will, if people would like to find out more.
So we're dandeliontime.org.uk. And everything's on there, whether people want to volunteer, whether they want to do summer gardens, or whether they want to purchase our tickets to the Candlelit Christmas.
Yeah. Lovely. Really good to see you again, particularly with such good news. Kate,
absolutely.
Good luck for December. Our thanks to Kate Bourne, their head of fundraising at the children's charity Dandelion Time. And the website again, if you missed it, dandeliontime.org.uk.